A very good evening to you. Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studio. I am Sarah Ayuku. Our top stories for tonight. Thank you so very much for joining us. Now the details. President Muhammadu Buhari resumed work at his office in Aso Rock Villa in Abuja at about 8 a.m. today. He immediately met with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who briefed him on recent developments. The president, who was away for 14 days, says he is happy to be back and ready to serve the nation. Also, special advisor to the president on media matters, Femi Adesina, also has clarified the air on President Buhari's health status. The president returned from the United Kingdom on Sunday. After spending 14 days, he was received by the Federal Executive Council and members of his family.
Well, the president himself said it that he's fit. We said it before he left that he was going on holiday. Some people called it a medical leave. No, it was not. It was a leave to rest. And during that rest, experts now looked at his health. So it was principally not a medical leave.
And meanwhile, in another development, President Muhammadu Buhari should, as a matter of urgency, stop the apparent marginalization of Bayelsa State and its indigents in appointments at the federal level. The president, according to an Abuja-based group known as Concerned Bayelsa State Indigents, has also in his list of ambassadorial nominees to the National Assembly denied the state its fair share of opportunity. The group, in a petition signed by its spokesman to the Senate president, calls for a quick redress of a situation it describes as painful. Correspondent Kozim Kasali tells us more in this report.
Appointments made by President Muhammadu Buhari since the advent of the present administration has not gone without controversies, with many accusing him of favoring the North over other parts of the country, especially in his first few appointments. The level of protest later died down, but issues surrounding the appointments have rumbled underneath for some time, something that is again coming to the fore, with an Abuja-based group known as Concerned Bayelsa State Indigents accusing the president of marginalizing the state in all appointments by him.
I spend my time, my money, and my energy. And when I am now seeing in a government that I so heavily a kind of injustice being done to my people, I deem it fit that let me protect the interests of my people and the interests of the people that voted for Buhari in my state.
The group, in a petition addressed to the President of the Senate, calls for a redress of the situation where, despite the wealth of qualified people of Bayelsa State origin, the President has consistently sidelined the state in appointments, the latest of which is the list of ambassadorial nominees.
Perhaps if we do not get good, proper address before this week run off, I'm going to mobilize this time around the entire Ijaw land. Not only these over 100 people that they are seeing here. I'm going to mobilize the entire Ijaw land to the villa.
The group also wonders why the state has no permanent secretary and says the president should consider his supporters in Bayelsa who stood with him when it was not safe or fashionable to do so. Kozim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Cooperation between the legislative and executive arms of government is critical for the success of the change mantra of the Muhammadu Buhari administration, especially the information management units of both arms. This will help in galvanizing the people towards the task of national development and prosperity with the people as a fundamental part of it. Correspondent Kozim Kasali also tells us more.
With the Muhammadu Buhari administration now over a year old, the Senate believes the change mantra will be achievable only if the eating discontent in the nation is addressed in the same manner everyone came together to bring about change. Leader of the Senate Committee on Information, Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, while speaking at the Ministry of Information, calls for concerted efforts on the part of all stakeholders to ensure that Nigerians are better than they were when the All Progressives Congress took over governance of the nation.
I want to assure you that this Senate understands this obvious challenge, and this is why the legislative agenda of the 8th Senate is anchored on 3 cardinal objectives of improving governance, improving business, and improving livelihood.
In his response, Minister of Information and Culture expresses his delight at the visit of the Senate Committee on Information, while also disclosing that the ministry has been on a continuing citizens' engagement with town hall meetings all over the country.
The so-called feud between the executive arm of government and the legislative is only a figment of their own imagination. So this is why I'm very grateful and very happy about this particular visit. Once again,
He discloses that the citizens are ill-informed on the issues affecting the nation and promises to continue in this regard. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The issue of constituency project is one that has generated lots of debates from different quarters, and it is on this basis that the National Assembly, the Conference of Speakers, and the National Institute of Legislative Studies is putting together a one-day summit to look at conflicts, try to find ways of resolving them, and come out with recommendations that will put the issue to rest. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ehijene brings us highlights from the conference. We'll bring you details of that in our subsequent bulletins. And the Senate has taken a swipe at the executive arm of the government over the alleged manner MTN's 1.04 trillion naira fine was reduced to 330 billion naira. It described the reduction as short-changing the country and therefore summoned the Attorney General, Governor of Central Bank, Minister of Communications and Account General of the Federation to come and explain their roles in the affair. The fine, which was imposed on the operator by the Nigerian Communications Commission last October, is for alleged operational misconduct. And seen as a situation of shock and disbelief as lawmakers listen to the Speaker read out a letter from the U.S. Embassy alleging sexual misconduct against 3 lawmakers, the Speaker immediately instituted an investigative inquiry into the letter, and since then, lawmakers have been reacting to the allegation. But he is of the opinion that in principle of fairness, the lawmakers are presumed innocent until proven otherwise. Our National Assembly correspondent Emmanuel Ehijene reports.
Members of the Green Chambers were surprised and in disbelief as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, read out to the House a letter from the U.S. Embassy alleging act of sexual misconduct on 3 of the country's legislators while on an official visit to the United States. Though details of the attempted rape is yet to be made public, the Speaker has set up an investigation into the allegation in the principle of fair hearing. Lawmakers have called the allegation an embarrassment to the nation, but are also of the view that until the allegation is substantiated, the lawmakers are presumed innocent.
As it is, we cannot really say it is a criminal offense until when it is being proved by the U.S. government.
And I don't believe that an honorable member will get involved in such a degrading act. So I still believe it's an allegation until proven otherwise.
We've taken it very seriously as a House to the extent that it must be investigated to establish the veracity and the authenticity of such very grave allegations that have been made on members of this assembly.
The lawmakers concerned have since denied the allegations, insisting that they are innocent of the charge and are prepared to go to any length to prove it. Events of the next few days, weeks or months will determine who is right or wrong as Nigerians await the outcome of the investigation. Emmanuel Ehijene, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And away from that now, troops of 114 Task Force Battalion of 28 Task Force Brigade in conjunction with members of a vigilante group in an effort to keep the road open and secure has carried out a clearance operation along Bita-Damboa axis, leaving 4 terrorists dead with scores escaping with gunshot wounds. Similarly, the troops of 22 Brigade Garrison, accompanied by civilian JTF, also carried out a patrol at Albania village and its environs along Dikwa Mati axis. Meanwhile, the Nigerian army troops also ran into an ambush with 5 soldiers sustaining injuries. The Nigeria Armed Forces Command and Staff College, JAGI, is reiterating its commitment in training officers and men of the Nigeria Armed Forces to become future military leaders. The Commandant Sulaiman Dambo made this known at the 2016 Nigerian Armed Forces exercise Sea Lion in Jaji, Kaduna State. Our correspondent was there and brings us this report.
Air Vice Marshal Suleiman says Exercise Sea Lion is the final exercise of the senior course package of the Military Institute. It says Exercise Sea Lion provides the senior military officers the opportunity to plan, conduct and decide on the employment of land, maritime and air assets in a combined and joint setting.
As future operational level commanders, you are required to understand how to skillfully employ military forces to attain operational level objectives, which in turn contributes to the attainment of the strategic objectives.
The commandant further maintained that training on counter-terrorism have been infused in this year's exercise to prepare the officers for contemporary operations.
Exercise Sea Lion serves as a tool for you to practice and consolidate your knowledge. Furthermore, the exercise gives you more practice in operational writing, oral briefings, and consolidate your knowledge in the techniques of war gaming.
This year's Joint Operational Planning course was organized in conjunction with the British Military Training Team, BMAT, and is the 13th since the college adopted the teaching of the maneuverist approach to warfare and its related concepts.
The Primetime News, we're back after this break with more stories, to stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back. You're watching CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studio. Before we go on with this night's bulletin, we would like to remind you of our top stories for tonight. For more of our stories, you can check our social media platforms on facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space, then news. Yeah. All right, now we'll bring you a story of residents and passers-by were taken. They woke up to an unusual phenomenon on Saturday as Ogun River at its Kara end, just by Ogun-Lagos state boundary, revealed an almost dry waterbed, leaving many jostling for shots of this rarity. That the river, which stretches up to Majidun around mile 12 area of Lagos River, dried up overnight, and this happening during the rainy season leaves many questions begging for answers. We now have Dr. Benjamin Ebonwu, a chief research officer with the Nigerian Institute of Oceanography and Marine Research in Lagos, live on tonight's bulletin. Good evening, Doctor. Good evening, Dr. Benjamin.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, nice to have you join us on tonight's bulletin. Now, we would like you to explain to us very quickly. It's a rarity for us to have this particular river dry up suddenly, considering the times that we're in, the rainy season? What would you like to explain to Nigerians? What would you say is the cause for this sudden dryness?
Truly, the story has been going on, but if one doesn't really have a thorough survey of the area, you cannot give the same thing as a scientist. But the truth is that if there's no tremor, there's no structural shift, and there's no water storage, then we cannot actually say that there's a receding of the water. But what I would say, if your station is keen to this, we can get a team who will come there, look at the whole scenario, and maybe give a better explanation. Because if there is a sudden maybe phenomenon like this, they have to look at it scientifically.
All right, so Dr. Benjamin, we would like to know this situation I hear has happened before in somewhere around Lekki area here in Lagos. But we want to know if this is a recurrence of what happened right there in Lekki, and if Nigerians should see this as a threat, for those who are staying in the area, or do you think that there is something much more? Is it a strange phenomenon, or what do you call it?
Well, if we don't know the whole scenario, we cannot say it's a strange phenomenon. Because we can get aquatic reef that will be somewhere and suddenly it shifts forward. So we cannot actually say if we don't carry out any physical survey of the area, because me, I'm not in there.
Now, Doctor...
We can't synchronize it.
All right, sir. But one last question before I let you go. Now, residents in this area tend to feed their cattle from this water, from the river. That's a river leading to Ogun State. They, water their cattle there. They take their livelihood from there. Sometimes they take their bath in the water, and somehow, I want to say, do you think that this will affect their livelihood in some way or some sort, or do you think they should be careful, as to this new development?
Well, truly they should be careful, because if there's no other place for them to get water, it's likely to affect them. But I think there's still water not far from that place.
Yes.
I think there's still water not far from that place. I've not been there, so I cannot give definitely that this is what it should be. But if the team should go there from our feet, which I will report to our executive director tomorrow, so that we'll know if a team to come there and look at the whole scenario.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Benjamin Ebo, the Chief Research Officer with the Nigerian Institute of Oceanography and Marine Research, speaking to us over the Ogun River that went dry, a strange phenomenon, some will call it. We'll bring you details and updates of that particular report as events unfold. Now, moving on to Plateau State, where heads of various security agencies in Plateau State have given their opinion on the current level of peace in the state. In this report, they unanimously stated that the measure of peace currently in the state is entirely different from how it was a year ago. And also, we'll bring you details of that in our subsequent bulletin. And now we're back to some corruption matters where the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, along with his fellow accused persons, have asked the judge presiding over the trial at the Federal High Court in Abuja to disqualify himself of an alleged bias. Kanu and two others, David Unwa Wusi and Benjamin Madugu, are being prosecuted by the federal government on a 6-count charge bordering on treasonable felony, unlawful possession of firearms, and other offences on their agitation for secession of the Republic of Biafra from Nigeria.
After their appeals against the judgment of Justice John Soho were dismissed by the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja, the accused persons have again leveled allegation of bias against the judge that is presiding over their trial. In a motion filed through their lawyers, Kanu and his co-accused persons are asking the judge to disqualify himself on the grounds that they will not get justice before him. The prosecution counsel has, however, described the new move as a deliberate attempt to truncate the ongoing trial. Justice John Soho has adjourned till September 26 for argument on whether to disqualify himself or dismiss the application. Basil Okafor, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is investigating a fraud petition against Edo State APC gubernatorial candidate Godwin Obaseki for suspected money laundering and tax evasion by his company, KCA Dautag Nigeria Limited. The company is accused of defrauding the family of late Humphrey Irikefe Idisi of Delta State to the tune of 5,570,970,950 naira. Two other directors of the company have been arrested by the EFCC and their statements have been obtained before release. The EFCC says it is more concerned about the criminal offense of tax evasion, fraud, and criminal conversion. The anti-graft agency is also saying it will launch a probe into the activities of the 38 soldiers who were compulsorily retired by the Nigerian army. The soldiers were retired last week by the military authorities following the alleged involvement in the arms deal fraud. The anti-graft body gave the assurance when a human rights group, Human Rights and Anti-Corruption Advocacy Center, protested to the commission, demanding the probe of the soldiers. EFCC Chairman Ibrahim Magu told the protesters that his office will look into their demands. And still on the activities of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, where they are also saying that they will watch over a former Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Abdullahi Diko, in a hospital in Abuja. Diko, who is being investigated over an alleged 42 billion naira fraud, has been in the hospital since his surrender to the EFCC for interrogation last Thursday. Diko is being grilled on the sources of funds which he acquired a 2 billion naira mansion at number 1 Audu Ogbe Street, Jabi in Abuja. The anti-graft agency had been on the trial of Diko since January 8, when its operatives stormed the posh residence of the ex-customs boss. Diko, however, gave himself up on Thursday by responding to the outstanding invitation of the EFCC. And also, Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose is alleging that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has frozen its personal account with Zenith Bank PLC. Fayose stated this on Monday in Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti State capital. This follows his inability to operate the account when he visited the bank personally. Fayose further claims that the bank told him that an embargo has been placed on his account. And the Ekiti State Governor had been having a running mate battle with the EFCC over the funding of his governorship campaign in 2014. Now, in other stories now to party politics, where Osage Ize-Iyamu has won the PDP gubernatorial primaries held in Edo State. Ize-Iyamu will be the candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the September 10 governorship election in Edo State. He polled 584 votes to defeat two other aspirants, Matthew, who scored 91 votes, and Solomon Edeberi, who polled 38 votes. Ize-Iyamu was secretary to the governorship tenure of Lucky Benedion from 1999 to 2007. He was also the South-South leader of the All Progressive Congress before defecting to the People's Democratic Party in 2014. Two governorship aspirants of the All Progressive Congress, Chris Ogunwoye and Kenneth Imasuagbon, have rejected the outcome of the party primaries held in Benin on Saturday. Governor Godwin Obaseki won the primaries after polling 1,618 votes, while Imasuagbon garnered 247 votes and Ogunwoye 137 votes. Both candidates stormed out of the building before the counting of votes was concluded. And to other stories now, government insincerity, politics and poor funding is being identified as part of challenges marring the growth and efficiency of the health sector in Nigeria. This is a submission of Godwin Bazuaye, a consultant hematologist at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, in commemoration of the World Sickle Cell Day. With only 3 successful bone transplantations done in Nigeria so far, physicians say the federal government needs to enact policies as well as adequately fund and invest in research development. Sickle cell disease is a group of disorders that affects the hemoglobin, the molecule in red blood cells that delivers oxygen to cells throughout the body. The condition remains associated with high risk of morbidity, especially child death. Unfortunately, Nigeria has the largest population of people with sickle cell disease in the world, with over 150,000 babies born as carriers every year. In commemoration of the Sickle Cell Anemia Day this year, experts identify challenges faced in preventing and managing the disorder in Nigeria.
Government has to do its part. I know that the health sector has a lot to consider and they have to prioritize. For some reason, I think that sickle cell has fallen through the cracks or is at the bottom of the priority list.
2013, when we did the last transplant, we were yet to get refunding from federal government to get the place. Most of the funding is from internal generated revenue. And so we've not been able to do transplants mainly because of that funding.
With only 3 recorded successful transplants in Nigeria, more needs to be done.
We forget research. If Nigeria is the country with the highest burden of sickle cell, the onus is on us to do all the research that's required to move sickle cell control forward.
Is bone transplant the only solution, particularly considering how expensive the procedure might be?
There are other methods. We cannot transplant all patients. Not all patients are eligible for transplant. So with drugs like hydroxyurea, government can also make it maybe cheap and affordable, or even pay to get it available to sickle cell patients.
Meanwhile, out of the many impossibilities comes tracks of possibilities, as the Sickle Cell Foundation displays some art creations by some carriers. The government, health workers and the society is expected to work in concert to draw awareness to the fact of the matter. Sickle cell disorder is not a death sentence. Sarah Ayuku, CoreTV News, Lagos. And an opportunity for Nigerians, particularly those battling social vices, is unveiling through an initiative aimed at providing support at a forum in Lagos. The Inspire project launched a documentary in the drive to use all medium available for people to share their stories. Our correspondent Victoria Solomon has more.
In life, people go through challenges which tend to shake their beliefs, causing them to sometimes despair. Many have lived wasted years, for instance, through drug abuse, leading to totally unproductive lives. However, despite the weight of the challenge, social workers say people must endeavor to come out of their closets and share their experiences.
Most of the time, we think that we are the only ones going through what we're going through, because a lot of people are always quiet and silent. Everybody you look at on the street has a story. Wherever you are, you have a testimony out there, you have something that God has done for you. If you give us a call, if you get to us, we will come around, and I'm sure your story will inspire somebody.
Yeah, it's just a quest to tell the story of what people go through. In their own words, the original content, unadulterated and undoctored.
Many people are already taking the bull by the horn, relating their life experiences for others to learn from.
Anybody that is in drug and hears how I got into drugs and came out of it will be inspired to get out of it. Same thing with other stories. Because if somebody can do it, you yourself, looking at that person, is that not just an ordinary person?
The forum affords the social workers an opportunity to inspire those struggling with one challenge or the other to action.
Second one, David, came on May 13, 2015, at the age of 45.
There's been so many challenges, especially being that I started really young and I started without any experience, and I have had to learn as I grew older. But I feel like, I've been really blessed. God has really, blessed me immensely.
My mom is my inspiration.
I saw her suffering, and I just told myself I had to do good with my life to alleviate this suffering.
A problem shared is one at least half solved. Just as Inspire Project believes a challenge overcame and shared does not give strength to other people to surmount. Victoria Solomon, CoreTV News, Lagos.
We'll bring you more details of the story of Joe Cox, who was murdered last week. After this break, do stay with us.
With over 7 billion of world population and still counting, the world needs to hear you now than ever. Whatever your ministry or vision is, Gospel Africa will help get you there faster than you think possible. For inquiries and participation, contact 009 503 3859 or 0812-076-0011 or visit www.gospelafricang.com. Gospel Africa, your #1 media solutions for the church today. Gospel Africa, showing on this station at this time.
And on the foreign scene, the campaign manager for presumptive Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has been fired. A campaign spokeswoman says Corey Lewandowski would no longer be working on it and said the team was grateful to him for his hard work and dedication. Lewandowski oversaw the New Yorkers' unlikely triumph in the primary contest. The exact reason for Lewandowski's departure is not yet clear, but he denies it has anything to do with his abrasive style. His departure comes as the businessman faces strong resistance from senior members of his own party over his strident tone, hardline immigration policy, and falling poll numbers. And still on the foreign scene, members of parliament and peers have paid tribute to Labour Member of Parliament Joe Cox, who was killed in a constituency in West Yorkshire on Thursday. Parliament, which was in recess for the EU referendum, was recalled to remember 41-year-old old Cox, who was described as perfect by a family. Speaker John Bercow says they have gathered in heartbreaking sadness, but also in heartfelt solidarity. Meanwhile, a charity fundraising appeal set up in Cox's memory has now raised more than £1 million. Stories in sports now.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
And in sports news, Croatia has been fined €100,000 by UEFA after crowd trouble during their 2-2 draw against the Czech Republic at Euro 2016. Referee Mark took the players off in St. Etienne when fans in the Croatia and threw flares. The Croatia Football Federation has also been banned from selling tickets to fans identified as hooligans. But with tickets for Tuesday's game against Spain all sold, the sanction is deferred until after the tournament. The fine is the second biggest handed out at the tournament after Russia were fined €150,000 last week. And now to basketball details. Now, Cleveland Cavaliers became the first team to overturn 3-1 deficit in the best-of-7 NBA Finals as they beat Golden State Warriors. LeBron James-inspired Cavaliers won the deciding 93-89 to complete their comeback against the defending champions, who had won a record of 73 games out of 82 in the regular season. James scored 27 points, 11 assists, and 11 rebounds to help Cleveland to their first NBA title. And with that, it's a wrap on CoreTV Sports News and on Primetime News. But before we go, a recap of our top stories for tonight. From all of us here at CoreTV News, we want to say thank you so much for joining us for tonight's bulletin. My name is Sarah Yuku. Have a pleasant night.